Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. I am back home.
It's good to have you back.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Why you seem surprised?
You made it. You lived.
Yes.
You lived through the unlivable.
I know.
Apparently.
Way you made it sound on the first day.
Dude, well, you were dying. You know, the man who never calls out sick.
Oh, yeah.
Calling out sick,
right.
Dude, that's rough.
I jinxed myself.
We don't have to tell him.
But I'm back. That's all that matters now.
You're back.
Yeah.
You're back. Oh, man. And it is good to be back, actually. I learned so much out there. I was like, Friday afternoon, we did the test. We cleaned everything up. I was done. And it was like, damn it. I got 3 more days. I got to be here.
Yeah.
This sucks. I did not want to be there
Oh,
any more than I wanted to be. But it was the weekend. So even if I was here, there was nothing I could do. But I was still like, man, I got to get back. I got to get back. I got to get back. So it was good. But guys, going back from episode 1 to what we are today, education, right? I mean, we talk about it. The whole purpose of a podcast, at least our podcast, is to educate. It's to bring different perspectives into the business, into what we're doing, into the pest control industry. I mean, that's the whole idea. It's to grow from it.
Yeah.
You know, as a society, I mean, even as a team, they say you're as strong as the weakest link. You know, in the pest control industry, we're as strong as the weakest link. And there's guys still running on paper. They're dinosaurs. You know, we need to step out from that. We can be so much better. And so with that being said, we're going to talk about the Wild Life Expo.
Yeah.
I went over it a little bit. It was very brief. It was only on day 2 or day 3. I threw out that episode.
That's right.
So there wasn't a lot that I talked about because I didn't experience a ton. And so everyone who kind of looked at this and said, you know what, I don't know, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. If you guys are living on the East Coast, you know, and get offended, but you guys are idiots if you're not going to this stuff.
Yeah. It's right
I'm
there.
on the West Coast and I'm going to this stuff.
True.
And they only do stuff, we just were talking about this, on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Florida, South Carolina, all of these states, they're even doing, now I guess they have something a little bit closer to us, which is in Arizona. But everything is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
All this prime information is literally on the East Coast. Makes no sense to me. But you know what? Go where the money is.
Yeah, it's true.
If there's no money over here to be made, I get it, I guess. I don't know. But so guys, go. It's so worth it. But at a brief, you know, I guess, do you have questions for my episode I threw out? Sorry to keep you out of that one.
No, you're fine. It was a solo episode because I was, like you said, sick. But no, it was an interesting recap. I mean, I was surprised that it wasn't as set up as well as Pest World. And obviously it's a lot smaller of an event, but, you know, I'm just really excited to hear kind of what you took back from it. And we were even talking about it earlier today. It's like, how can we add more value to ourselves? And in that week of just you being there and the conversations we've had over the past couple of days, it's like the horizons just keep getting bigger and bigger, you know?
Oh yeah. No. And I think this year will be the biggest year.
Easily.
You know, just like next year is going to be even bigger. So it's just getting better and better,
right?
Especially with the knowledge, you know, you're going out to classes, education, guys, education. You know, you're going out to the West Coast Rodent Academy.
That's right. One
right?
month.
Coming up in March. So that is so crucial to get to the next level, to grow. And if you're not out there learning, you're going to be stuck where I was until I started going to these classes.
Yeah.
I was doing stuff that guys just told me to do because I thought that's how you did it. And then I went and saw, and I was like, oh, I was doing it wrong.
It's a whole new world.
I just went out to this, and I went out to the Wild Life Expo, and guess what? I learned we've been doing stuff wrong.
Yeah.
And we need to change that to do it right. And then educate our customers to saying, that's okay if you don't want to use us. If you're going with somebody else, make sure they don't do this for this reason. It's cheap, but they are going to ruin your home, you know? And I'll get into that. We'll get into that in the future, episodes on what I was doing, which was probably ruined homes. To be honest with you, unfortunately, they don't know. And now I know. I don't know which houses I did it on because there's so many, different jobs, different areas, one-off jobs here or there. But there's a lot of stuff that we've been doing wrong. There was a guy who even admitted it in one of the classes that he was doing something wrong that could start fires in homes. Luckily, I can say I never did what he did.
Yeah.
Ever on a house. But he's been doing it. He's been doing it for years.
Because it's been working to his knowledge.
He thought that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, that's not. You can cause fires. You're going to burn out motors. You're going to cause so many issues. So education's huge.
Definitely.
But, they did this stuff, they're doing all these programs on the West Coast, which is awesome, or East Coast, which is awesome for anybody who's out there. It's like, you got to go to these. You got to go to this.
Oh, yeah.
Get that education. But from day one, if you didn't go back and listen to the episode, it's super short. Go back and listen to it. I'll try to skip through and skim through it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
A
lot of content.
The cool thing is this is such a small program right now that you only need 2 people, which is great. Really, you only need 2 people there because they only have 2 classes per day that you can split up and go to. So there's not a massive investment that's going to be, really spending on this.
Sure.
And then the classes now I understand why they're charging what they're charging. It makes sense. So that was a big complaint of mine, right? I was going into it and I was like, dude, they're freaking charging per class. This is crazy. I do understand now why. But going, and I'll explain why they do that. But from day one, very spotty, hopefully somebody from the wildlife, will listen. There was no registration. Anybody could have walked into these classes and taken them.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't have gotten a certification from it. Day one, they had a training on, let's see, where is it? Zoonotic disease. And then they also had on, where is it? Oh, they changed it. So on the app, this is another thing they screwed up on. Sorry to throw them under the bus right now.
No, do it.
Even though I got so much information, it was good. But they actually had their program on an app, on the NPMA app. And I don't know if they just partnered up or something happened there. Maybe it's been a long-term relationship. But NPMA now has their app, and you can go on their app. If you're part of this, you can, see their overview. Well, the problem is the schedule on the app is different than from the paper program.
Yikes.
Because stuff changes. So on this one, there was actually 2 courses. One is the WCO. Oh, that's right. It's it's the Wildlife something operators training course. It's 8 hours. They actually switched that up. There was another one where it was actually bats, which I think they moved to another day.
Oh, okay.
So per the app and per the glance, at an advanced, they changed that up.
Got it.
So day of. But there was nowhere to actually go in and register and go into these classes. I could have just walked in, sat down, and took the class.
Nice.
Yeah. The guys were really laid back. They didn't really care. You wouldn't have got a certificate for it or continuous education for it, but you would have learned everything.
Yeah.
And they would have even given you a book that comes with the class because they didn't even ask me.
Yeah.
So, guys, definitely get a handle on that or you're going to be giving away free information. Tuesday was when I started getting into bird management. Something that we've dabbled in a little bit, but something I wanted to educate myself on.
Yeah.
The course was actually pretty cheap. There is a follow-up course to it. So there is a bird management 2. I didn't know that until I took it. So this was 1, and that was for beginners. I will say across the board nationwide, they pretty much hit everything on point when it came to what birds are protected and what are not.
Yeah.
Even in just on a broad spectrum over everywhere. They were talking about birds on the East Coast, but they were those same birds are on the West Coast.
Okay.
Not all of them.
Sure.
You know, they're not all the same, but they pretty much generalized it pretty well.
Yeah.
And they gave you a really good coverage of all of them. The other thing is they did identify a lot of the birds. They went in pretty in depth on that.
Yeah.
So that course was really good, especially if you're looking into getting into bird work. The other thing that I really liked about their courses, that I'm sure they did on day one on Monday and day two is Tuesday.
Yeah.
But they did for me in bird management. They actually broke down, this is how you eliminate pigeons on top of a roof. Boom.
Beautiful.
Literally everything. Okay. You want to talk about education at its finest.
Yeah.
That is literally what you need to do. You know, and I'm assuming that's probably the same thing in medical school.
Sure.
It's going to be the same thing if you're becoming a mechanic.
Yeah.
Electrician. They're going to bring you into a real life situation and they're going to say, how do you fix this wiring? Or you don't know because you're a beginner. I'm going to show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Now you have to go practice it, but this is how you do it.
Right.
This is how you cut someone's chest open properly.
Yeah.
And now we're going to practice, you know, that we didn't get to practice. That's what you get to do at the Rodent Academy.
I'm excited.
Which is cool. But so the bird management went over so much.
Yeah.
You know, it was really good. And they did have their categories. They give you a fat book with it that has all the slides, all this information, pictures of birds, descriptions of birds. I mean, literally everything.
Yeah.
So it was really good. It was really good information. If you want to learn how to do it and you're scared to get in and experiment and fail,
Yeah.
this is a great way to get in it. And they literally tell you what you need to do. You're still going to fail and you're still going to have to experiment, but at least you're going in with some basic knowledge.
Sure.
And they're giving you contact information to the reps at Bird Barrier. They're giving you contact information to the people who are literally selling you the traps.
Yeah.
And they have to know how the traps work. They've tested how the traps work and the best methods and the best locations. Bird Barrier, not to keep pushing them, they owe us money now. They actually will, if you take a picture, you can send them the address, they'll get on Google Earth, and they will tell you how much equipment you need to buy. They will literally do it for you.
Yeah.
You just have to go do the labor.
Sure.
I mean, it's crazy.
That is.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane how easy they made some of this stuff for us. So you just have to be willing to get it done. And they will tell you how to do it. And if the products aren't working with them, they'll actually take it back and they'll give you your money back. Or they'll send you everything brand new that you need to take care of that situation because they gave you the wrong product.
That's incredible.
It's insane.
Yeah. I hear a sponsorship coming.
Yeah, right? Like, dude, it's cool. So I was blown away. I was actually really blown away at this one because you do get a whole different vibe too.
Sure.
You know, the vibe from Pest World. What vibe did you get from Pest World? Not being in the pest, you know, in this industry, you came fresh.
Yeah.
So what was your vibe going in there?
It was very like every booth was trying to draw me in. It was a lot of like, hurrah, a lot of excitement. Look at this new technology. Look at all the different stuff we're doing. You know, this is why this stuff in my booth is going to change your life type of vibe. You know, it was all good information, you know, and I was trying to soak it up as much as I could.
What about the people? How did you feel with everybody there?
Yeah. It was not too great. I mean, I socialized when I could and made good contacts. I did make a lot of good contacts in the sales classes, I will say that.
Yeah.
But for the majority, you know, the little break time we had between classes and going out to the expo, you know, I didn't see myself wanting to go to like those social events that they hosted. And,
Yeah.
you know, I just didn't really feel the desire to.
Yeah. So that's where I say that the pest control world and the wildlife world, it's very intertwined, but it's very, very different.
Okay.
Everybody in the wildlife expo wanted to give you all the information to succeed.
Sure.
Literally, which was crazy to me. It's you are willing to give me all your secrets for nothing. You want to help me as much as you want for nothing.
Oh, I see where you're going.
And when you got into the pest control realm, it is my dick's bigger than yours.
Yeah.
And whatever. I'm not talking to you. I don't want to talk to you. Not everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of the reps are very good. a lot of the businesses, things like that, they're actually very nice and they're very helpful.
Sure.
Chemical companies, very, very helpful. But the pest control as a general, it's like they're trying to cut each other's heads off all the time.
That's a good point. And it's like, for what?
For what reason?
Yeah.
You know? So it was a massive swing.
That's cool.
Very, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, the information they threw out there, I don't know if they had paid, if these guys were paid to be there.
Sure.
But they had their own companies or they sold these companies off. And now they're part of this wildlife.
Yeah.
And they had slides up and they're like, how would you take care of this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you have a guy who's been doing it for 20 years and he's literally explaining how he would, pest proof this home.
So valuable.
It's crazy. Like that's literally what he was doing at his business.
Yeah.
He's going to go home and do that exact same thing next week. And he's telling me how he's doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's just invaluable information. It didn't matter how much it costs. Knowing that and going into that, it's like, we're going to this every year.
Yeah.
That's not going away. This is literally on that list of Pest World now. It's up there because of the information we're going to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane. Okay, that was a little bit of a rant, right?
No, it's okay. It's all good. And I mean, when you called last week and were telling me about it, I could hear it in your voice. Like there's a ton of stuff that now that I'm up to speed to a degree, like I'm really excited to get some of this stuff rolling.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing for everyone who's a technician, you're listening to this, you're just barely starting your company, you're owning it. You're not into, and when I say wildlife, let me break this down. I guess we didn't explain what this Wild Life Expo is. You're not taking down an elephant. Okay. Yeah. You're not in safari gear. You're not running around trying to catch a bear.
Right.
That's not what this was about. Okay. Let's just destroy that right now. When we're talking about wildlife, yes, there is a certain level of wildlife. They're talking about bats. They're talking about different types of birds, woodpeckers, pigeons,
Sure.
Sparrows, all that stuff, right? They're live catching certain animals, protected species, to help them safely get out of buildings, out of a Costco, out of a Walmart. That's what they're doing. That's one section of wildlife.
Yeah.
Okay. A whole nother section of wildlife is rodents. It's rats. It's mice.
Yeah.
Squirrels. So that's what they're talking about. Skunks. They didn't get into that. They didn't get into raccoons and skunks and everything else. But that's what we're talking about, wildlife.
Yeah.
So it falls under the pest control. They even actually, it was funny because they were talking a lot about the pest control and what you needed licensing for. And I'm like, these guys don't have a pest control license.
Yeah. That's weird.
Because it's not under the same jurisdiction.
Okay.
They're with the wildlife game. They're with the gaming commission. So they actually have to get licenses to go out and shoot certain birds.
Yeah.
Or to catch birds or let somebody know. So there's a lot of stuff like that didn't really pertain to us. But everything outside of that, there was so much valuable information because they're looking at a home different than I look at a house.
Right.
I look at a house from a pest control standpoint. They're looking at a home from a wildlife operator standpoint, which is very, very different.
Sure.
Some of these guys are coming in and they've been in the construction field. And so when they're doing rodent exclusion, they're looking at it as I am building a home. I am demolishing, I'm going to tear this home down and rebuild it.
Yeah.
So they're looking at it so much different than us. We go and find a little hole and it's like, okay, how are we going to seal this up? They're looking at it and saying, okay, what problems is that causing for the homeowner and the actual home and structure itself? They're looking beyond just the pest. They're looking at the grand scheme of things. Where's the water running off of the roof? And how is that affecting or creating, entry points for rodents to come in?
Sure.
So they're looking at it so much different. So when you hear wildlife, it's not big animals. It's not, just in the jungle running around playing with snakes.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. It is very much in line with pest control, especially on the rodent side. And this will explain a little bit more. So this was another one. So on day 3, this was the actual classes. So they had blocking and tackling at the interface of man and nature. Okay, that was one of the classes. They have another one of logistics, scheduling and different ways to streamline your business. So they're going on the business side too, right? They also had remote monitoring. Okay, that's just going off of the new technology traps, stuff like that. Maximize your full exclusion potential with options, products, and customization. Okay, that's just exclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Broad sense exclusion. Okay, not just birds, not just putting up a snake fence. No. We're talking just exclusion, which was a very great class, actually. I have so much notes on every class. More than what I actually normally have at Pest World.
That shows something.
It does. It does. Let's see. They have, honeybee cutouts. I don't know exactly what that was. I didn't go. My bad.
That's okay.
How and when to sell metalwork.
There you go.
Metalwork's a game changer, guys.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes, I mean, it's crazy, but my head was exploding during this. Not on the main class, bird management. That was awesome.
Sure.
Once we got into the B for the expo, and actually these classes, these break-off classes that were an hour long, just like Pest World. So if you've ever seen that, they did the same thing just on these middle days.
Yeah.
Dude, amazing. Absolutely amazing. They have rooftop solar panel exclusion and how to shine in an emerging market. Okay. They had technology. What can you do for me? They had setting up work vehicles for success. Okay. They had using metal for exclusion. They did have a lot of metal for exclusion. We are going to have an episode.
Yeah.
And we are going to literally destroy what I've taught you guys.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
And rebuild that back up. So metal is going to be that's going to distinguish if you're a rookie or you're a pro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw that out there now. If you're not doing the metal work, and we're not, so we're rookies, and I'm going to admit that. But when we get into it, we are literally going to see that next step, and it's going to be massive.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to see huge success from that. And then they have Ready, Set, Grow, scaling your wildlife company to your first $1 million. So they do have the business side of classes as well.
That's great. That's really good.
Yeah. Thursday, so that was day 3. Thursday was the same setup, right? So you have your expo, and then you have your classes in between.
Yep.
And so they had birds and structures. They had introducing terriers in the NWCO, which is dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to push a lot of dogs in that, which dogs were good on herding geese and things like that. So if you're into that work, a dog is, but they say it is very expensive. So I didn't take that course.
Yeah.
Birds and structure. Let's see. Where's the next one? Minimize pressure and maximize profit with education. So a big thing that they talked about too was they did talk a lot about pressure. Mm-hmm. I talked to you a little bit about this today, I think. You did. And so when you have a low pressure pest, and you're going to hear that a lot in wildlife. So if it's low pressure, that means they're just barely getting into an area, which means it's very easy to scare them away. Birds, that they're going to use that a lot with birds. That is like pressure. When they talk about pressure, that's huge in bird talk.
Got it.
But essentially low pressure is they're coming in, they're barely showing up. A pigeon just lands on your roof. You scare it away. Easy.
Pretty easy.
You could just scare it away.
Yeah.
Okay, the pigeon now has been living up there for a year. They have now a second generation of pigeons coming back. They now know this is a home. Well, that's very high pressure.
Right.
That is a lot harder to handle than a low pressure situation.
Makes sense.
So they go over all that, and that's exactly what they're talking about here. And then another one was things I wish someone told me from a business owner. The next one was total package, maximize profits and additional services. That was a huge one. That one is where I learned a lot of extra stuff that we can start implementing today.
Yeah.
And see, this is the cool thing. So everybody who's out there, who is getting into this, I mean, you're just a route tech, whatever it may be. There's so many little things that you could pull from a class like that, and you instantly add value tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. Like we saw it. I showed you some stuff even today, and it's like, dude, it's this easy.
Yeah.
And we literally could do it. It's just throw it in a quote. If they want it, great. We just added hundreds of dollars onto a quote, if not thousands.
Yeah. I was actually asking you that earlier when we were talking about this episode. It's like, how much do you think from that experience can we implement immediately versus how much of it do you think it's going to take a while for it to roll in and like the foundation we have to create to do these kinds of things?
And the small stuff, we could do it literally tomorrow.
Yeah.
We could implement it, and we could literally be adding on to our exclusion price. We could be adding hundreds of dollars.
Just instantly.
We could literally be doubling our prices, with very little work added.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Like, that's how easy it is.
Yeah.
Now, some of the other stuff, yes, you are going to have to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to take a little bit because there are licensing things that we have to get over.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bigger jobs, you do have to have certain licenses in California, a contractor's license, to be able to do some of those things.
Yeah.
So there is some of that. That is going to be a hurdle that we'll have to get over, but it's not a big one. It's an easy one to get over.
Right.
So, but it is creating the program, because you can roll this out. Even that stuff you could roll out tomorrow.
Yeah.
The problem, though, is the presentation. And that's what takes work. So it's not necessarily making the money that, we can get it easy, but it's the presentation behind it that's going to get us the money guaranteed.
Yeah.
And it's the better the better the quality of the product, the better the presentation, easier they're going to say yes to us than to somebody else.
Right.
Going on to the next one, it's using bartering to bring big bucks to your business. I did not do that one, so I have no idea what they were talking about. Understanding home ventilation systems.
There you go.
Dude, I'm telling you, they actually were on point.
Yeah.
Pest World, go back to the drawing board. Whatever you have prepared for Hawaii, throw it in the trash. Go talk to the wildlife guys.
They'll get you going.
Dude, these were, and it was crazy stuff, but it helped so much.
Yeah.
I'm sick of the same rodent class year after year. I got it. Okay, I got it. It does bring some value. There's about 10 minutes out of an hour class that I learned something.
Yeah.
And the 50 minutes is literally BS.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing added, no value to it. Dude, this stuff was insane. Insane.
Right.
They're bringing in specialists and like talking about this. And we just went with an attic guy today.
Yeah.
Up in an attic. This guy didn't even talk about the ventilation system in an attic. And he's the attic guy.
The attic guy.
No checks, no pictures, no nothing. And I'm like, dude, I know your job better than you do. Mm-hmm. Other than you have a little bit more education on insulation types and what needs to be done.
Sure.
But, dude, it was, even that right there is going to be a massive game changer for us.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much we can implement. Mm-hmm. The next one is, let's see, another canine class. So they're just looking at how to bring that into the workplace. And then a roadmap to drone use in wildlife. Talk. Let's hear it.
You were just talking about how we can immediately implement things that are going to increase our value. We did it twice today. Yeah. And it just brings a whole nother level to the care and, from the customer's perspective too. It's like, we're here to solve the problem. We're not here just to speculate and tell you what you want to hear. It's like, no, I'm going to show you based on the drone footage exactly why it's priced out this way and exactly why these guarantees are getting put on there. It just takes us to a whole nother level.
Oh, dude.
We just dipped our toes in today too.
And you know what? And I will say that drone class, and this is another thing about these classes. Mm-hmm. That guy literally, and I took pictures of it, he told us how you get your drone license. And he literally broke it down step by step.
Yeah.
What you need to do from step 1 to getting your license to registering your equipment.
Yeah.
Insane how everything was laid out perfectly.
Right.
And he just was take a picture at the end.
That is so much better for the industry in the long run because, like you said, there's always this like hidden competition or like animosity between companies. But at the end of the day, it's like we all get better and we all have a more opportunity to grow the better all of us get. You know, like you said, we're as strong as our weakest link. Guys doing paper on a route, you know, from his office at home. It's like we have to all get better to be able to push these new things to even higher places, you know?
Yeah. Well, and something that somebody did say, and I don't remember who talked about it, but he essentially said, I do remember, the owner of Maxim magazine and like 1,000 other magazines.
Oh, wow.
So I listened to his book, and he always talked about his competition. And he said, I love when my competition would get better because that put more stress on me to get better.
See?
And so even when somebody left and created a magazine or whatever it was, he said that was just putting more competition into my field to make me even better and better and better.
Yeah.
And he died. I mean, he had billions.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy was super wealthy off of magazines.
Yeah.
Not Playboy. He had just regular magazines, which is insane. And he just ran the market. He just killed it everywhere.
Nuts.
And so but that's the thing is it's like we all get better.
Yeah.
You know, so, but the great thing is too, is if people are like, well, if everyone has drones, then like, what am I different than from everybody else? The cool thing is not everybody ever will get drones.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a guy who's going to listen to this and say, oh, that was stupid.
Yeah.
And then he's never going to get it. And guess what? He's going to lose and lose and lose because they're not willing to change.
Yeah.
They're not willing to grow. So at the end of the day, we all get better. We all get pushed to the next level. And the ones that are willing to go to the next level are going to go. The ones that aren't are going to stay, and they're going to stay small, or they're going to decrease and shrink.
Yep.
And they're going to lose that business like we just saw today, you know, at 2 of these jobs, storage units, just so everybody knows, and 2 companies, 2 different companies. This one company actually had them all. We took over one. And apparently we've been doing such an amazing job.
Yeah.
The other 2 facilities knew who we were when we walked in.
There. Yeah, exactly.
That literally blew me away. I've never had that yet.
Really?
No. Not like what they've had.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it where they're like, oh, hey, you're ProServe. Awesome. Come on in.
Yeah.
They were literally praising us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn.
Yeah, before we even had a chance to speak, I remember the guy was like, yeah, Tyler at this location said you guys have been crushing it.
Yeah. Like, and I have never had that.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I've had good people say good things about us, but not from one facility to the next, and not at that size.
Totally different.
Yeah, we're talking 1,000 unit, you know, building, you know, storage units, and we walk in and it's already praised to the next level.
Yeah,
literally within seconds of walking in.
It's so nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So anyway, so drones, that was a huge class. That was a ton of stuff was brought from that, and then the last day, Friday, they went back to day 1 and day 2 schedule. So you had an 8-hour class.
Yeah.
And so these classes were 8 hours. It was a separate price. You did have to pay the extra. Some courses, now I know why the WCOTC class was so expensive, because it was 2 days.
Got it.
It was Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. So there was a back-to-back, which I think it was to get you into the wildlife operator position or something like that. But on this one, they broke it up. So this one was rodent standards and venomous snakes. I didn't take the venomous snakes. Obviously, I'm pest control. I'm into rodents, things like that. So everyone out there, once again, you think wildlife. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
No, they have a rodent course. So they literally went through roof rats, Norway rats, mice, field mice, deer mice, the white-footed mouse, different types of voles. They talked about, a guy got up there and showed what he does to trap voles and how he does it. I mean, literally step by step. There was guys that talking about different rodent situations in homes and businesses, how to handle them, how to take care of them. So they went into depth how to identify. They went into the biology of rodents.
Wow.
They broke it down. They broke it down really, really well. And how the course kind of went through was, it was identification. So you were able to identify the different types of rodents, and then they would break off into another section. And that section would be, here's rodent exclusion work and trapping and baits. They would talk about rodenticides. And then they even went off on diseases.
Yeah.
So they went off on diseases and, what you could get if you were in those situations. Same with birds. That's like what I was telling Tina, I think the first day I got back. I don't know if you heard, but she's like, oh no, pigeons, we want to save them. And I'm like, dude, if you heard what I heard about birds, you would not want one in your house.
Yeah.
The mites that you can get, the different diseases you can get, the droppings, if you just breathe the dust from their droppings,
It's disgusting.
you could die.
Yeah.
They did. It's like one of the diseases. It's such a high death rate. It's scary. Makes COVID look like a little freaking, it's nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was like, it's a 36% chance of death.
That's insane.
And that's insane.
Yeah.
And if people don't, COVID really brought all that stuff to light.
Sure.
But when we're talking like a 0.01%, which was like COVID, they're freaking out. And I think the flu is even higher than that. It's like 1 or maybe even up to 5%, whatever it is, like death rate, which is massive. And then you had those one-off diseases that we've taken care of and viruses,
right.
That were like at 50%. And it was like, whoa, like 50%, me and you sitting in the room, one of us is dead.
Yeah.
You go down to 36%. That means a third. We add one more person in this room, they're dead.
That's insane.
That's coming from birds. That's coming legitimately from pigeons. Only pigeons. Crazy.
Wow.
Killed workers. Yeah. They had a whole story about that. But anyway, so it was really cool, on that day. That was the last course. You take a test, and this is where the money comes in. You do have your 8-hour focus course. They give you a book with it, which literally had every single slide.
So nice.
So I could hand that book to you. You could literally take the course.
Wow.
And it has everything in there. And then they give you a printed out copy with your name that you passed, and that you essentially passed the rodent course or the bird management course.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. So you can go say, hey, look, I did that. And they even put an expiration date on there, which makes sense. We learn stuff new every day.
Yeah.
So things are going to change. But you get that and you get to bring that back and say, hey, look, I passed the rodent course.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So pretty cool. So I would say it's up there. I wouldn't say it's a 10. It's not a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of work. But we will be going every year.
No, that's awesome.
That's for sure.
And I'm so glad that you feel that way too, because you and I are like-minded in that, in terms of like adding value and what it can bring to the table. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, because you've been doing this so long and you've been on both sides where you were doing what you were good at, but I don't want to say getting by, but not looking to really expand.
Yeah.
And then now you're investing so much more in like education and getting better and like, learning the resources. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, what advice would you give like technicians or even managers / owners who are kind of on the fence about, I don't know, enrolling their guys in something like that? Or if you're a technician or a salesperson, bringing that to your uppers to say like, hey, I think this is a good idea and here's why.
Well, one thing that hit me when I was 18, I always had business minded. It was always business in my head. That was my passion.
Yeah.
I didn't care what I was going to be in. I just wanted to be a business owner for whatever reason. I don't even know why that was in my head, but that was always there. Now being a business owner, it's like, God, dude, that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like this is really shitty.
Too late now.
But there's a lot of rewarding, there's a lot of rewards to it. But to get to the point of it is when I was 18, I was lost. Yeah. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to get into. Time kept kind of going by. I was knocking doors. I was selling, but there was really nothing going on in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself knocking doors forever. It was good money, but that wasn't my end goal. Right. That was never what I really wanted to do.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
I actually wanted to move to California and buy and sell cars. I was going to buy cars, get a dealer's license, go to auctions and stuff like that. And then a guy talked me out of that to go knock doors for security. So we'll get into that story at another time. Yeah. But that manager, which he's actually fighting cancer right now. He's doing good. almost 100 days in. Yeah, he was rough. He looked bad. He looked real bad for a while. His wife's been posting stuff. So congratulations to him. Has 0 cancer cells right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is awesome. So good for him. But that manager, he told me, he said, what you do today is essentially forging that path for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A lot of people don't realize that. What happens to you tomorrow was caused by something you did a week ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that until he said it. I knew it.
Yeah.
It didn't click until he said it. Once he said it, I understood.
Sure.
And I understood at that moment because I never wanted to go to school.
Yeah.
I was not big at the whole university thing. I ended up going. I ended up not going. Yeah. But education didn't stop there.
Right.
Because that hit me. Is that I didn't need to pay a professor to give me, a credit for a course in a university and waste all my time. I can read 1,000 books and get the same information this guy's going to teach me.
Sure.
I can pay almost $1,000 to go to a wildlife course and literally learn from a guy who's been doing it for 20 years and has made probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes.
Right.
And I can jump that. So when I learned that at 18, that changed everything. And it never stopped even when I got the business. So it may have looked like we weren't going to these things or we didn't have that. I went to Pest World every year.
Yeah.
There was only 2 years I didn't go.
One was COVID.
One was COVID because they wanted to charge the same price, or I would have gone to that.
Yeah.
I chose not to because I thought they were idiots.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to charge me the same price for an online course?
Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm not even going to an expo and you're not even giving me food.
Nuts.
And you want me to pay the same price? And then the last week they dropped it. And it's like, no, because you guys had so many people cancel.
Yeah.
But we won't go off on them.
Yeah. We'll save that episode.
We'll save that. I know I've already ragged on them enough for that. But I did keep going. I did keep educating.
Sure.
I did keep trying to do that because I knew the value behind the education. I know the value behind sending you to go do this rodent course.
Yeah.
The value's always there. Education is massive. Do I believe it's specifically from a school? No. I don't believe that at all.
It can be, but I don't think so either.
Unless you're going to be a doctor, I don't think it
Something
is.
specialty, yeah.
Unless you have to.
Yeah.
Unless the government has said you had to.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it necessarily has to be that way.
Yeah, if you're going to be a pharmacist, please go to pharmacy school.
Yeah. Please, yeah. No, there is. But what I mean is, like, even in this is for a business standpoint, for even a technician, if the owner says no and is reluctant to do these things, that's okay. Educating yourself. Because that's another thing that I learned later on because of me diving into so many different books.
Yeah.
Is you learn economics, the world pays you what you're worth.
Always.
And as you start to grow and as you really start to show your worth, the money will always come.
Yeah.
Compensation's always going to be there for what you're worth.
Yeah.
So if you're a bum and you're not learning anything, you can still make $1 million. Mm-hmm. But for how long? Because someone eventually is going to step in, or, how much work are you putting into that?
Yeah.
So for somebody who's getting into this or who wants to do this or is trying to convince their owner to pay for it,
sure.
Stop. Just go do it. Because your value behind that is going to bring so much value to you as a person that somebody else is going to pay you to come over to them eventually.
That's good advice.
Or your owner will promote you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to know so much. Mm-hmm. And eventually they may say, we're going to start sending everybody.
Yeah.
Look at what this guy's done because of going and educating himself.
Right.
It's amazing what that does.
The world pays you what you're worth.
Absolutely.
No, that's good.
So that's what I would say to anybody who is looking at this course or looking at these expos or is scared to get into it, is there's so much value behind it.
Yeah.
And the growth is always going to come.
Sure.
We literally from year 1 to year 2, that year 1, we pretty much stayed stagnant because it was learn year for me.
Yeah.
It was education year. figure everything out. But year 2, we doubled. We doubled business in year 2. You know, that didn't come from nothing. You know, that came from the education and learning.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then year 3, we doubled again. We just kept growing. Year
Crazy.
4, we're even bigger than that, right? And so that's what it is. I mean, the education is always going to be there. You always have to educate yourself. And the value is always going to be bigger and better.
Perfect.
You know, you see it today.
Yeah.
We walk into these storage places and they, you know, the guy even said, wow, you guys are more serious about the situation than this $1 billion company.
Yeah, which threw me off because we're just doing our job. That's what I felt like.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
it was really cool to hear him say that. But in my head, I was just like, we're just doing a thorough inspection and telling you what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And being straightforward.
Yeah.
And when people say stuff like that, it's like, it's crazy how uncommon that is.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to throw a question back at you because you came in from a different industry. How long have you been here? 6 months?
I got here in May. So what is that? 8 months?
8 months.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
that long. When you really think about it, not long at all.
Not very long. What I'm trying to get at is you throw that question at me is what's, you know, how would you do that? But where you came from to where you are now, it's massive. There's a massive change.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your life was then.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I know on a financial standpoint what it was.
Yeah.
you know,
do.
so, but it's cool to see that. And I'm excited for you,
Yeah.
you know, but what would you tell people, you know, from even going just to little things like this? You went to Pest World and what you gained from that. You're diving into these systems and you're learning different stuff. What's driving you and what's pushing you to do that? And I'm not asking you to do it.
Yeah. I learned very quickly, and this is common for any industry, but this one specifically, it's like the more value you add to yourself, and I know it's kind of on repeat, but it's like there's so many things that open up.
Yeah.
You know, I was brought on for the office, right? Just to do basically not clerical work, but just kind of run the operations from the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just kind of sit and work my 9 to 5 and enjoy and help you run the company. And like, you know, I'm looking around, it's like, there's so much potential. And I'm like, yeah, I want to get my license. I want to learn about this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to start getting into sales. We created this sales manager position from absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Right. We hired another very like competent sales guy who is now like another Swiss Army knife here.
Yeah.
And we're going to the Rodent Academy together. And it's like every time I think it's, you know, the cap is there is no cap. You know, there is no limit to where we can go and what we can do this. And I think that's why I'm so driven to keep learning and keep pushing. And like, you know, we got our ass handed to us at a proposal meeting yesterday because, you know, we try to step out in a realm that we're not used to, you know, on like the weed control, but that's okay. You know, like you said, you saw I was frustrated, but
Yeah.
I had to realize like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because now I know it's like, I'm going to be even better so we can just destroy anybody who bids against us.
Yep.
You know, and obviously the money, the monetary side of it is a motivation, but really it's like, you know, 3, 4, 5 years, I can speculate to see how big we might be, but who knows? And that's great for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, who knows what's out there?
Yeah. And so I mean, and that's awesome because I do think even for me, that's a big driving point to keep educating is you don't know how much value is brought. You don't know how much better your services can be until you step out and actually learn.
Yeah.
And I saw that, you know, in the past with guys when they turned down to go to certain things and turned down to go get educated. And it shows. It shows that you literally are bringing yourself down in value. You know, we had a guy come in today. I did some work on the vehicle and he actually asked, I want to learn rodent stuff. I want to get into it.
Really?
So it's really cool to see that is when people are getting eager and they want to learn, it's capitalize on that.
Yeah.
You know, so unfortunately, not everybody is going to be in that situation. Not everyone's going to have a boss that says, yeah, let's get you out there and let's learn. You know, they're not. And they may be scared. They may be scared and say, well, if this guy learns, what is he going to take?
Sure.
Instead of looking at it as if this guy learns, yeah, you know what? He may leave. but how much better did we just become because of that?
Yeah.
You know, we never have lost when people leave. We've only gained. And so it just allows so much more. So some owners, they're scared. Some management is scared.
Yeah.
They don't learn. So if you go out and learn, you may actually get fired.
Yeah.
They may look at you as a threat, but someone's going to pick you up and they're going to show you, they're going to show you more and they're going to push you to your potential. And I think that's huge.
Yeah. I think something that I, picked up on pretty quickly is like, until the day that I'm here when I'm ready to retire and I'm old and decrepit, it's like I'm going to always have things change for me in terms of like what I thought I knew versus what I know now. And I feel like I'm always going to have my mind blown. I mean, look at you. Yeah. You went to this week-long class and we've been doing pretty good on exclusion stuff. And it's like, you came back and you were like, no, dude. Like, this is going to change. And I'm excited for that stuff. And, down the road, 5 years from now, we're going to run into the same things. And I love that,
Yeah, no. And I think it is. And I think as we start to get more into it, and this is cool for everybody out there, is the more you get into something like this is you start to become the industry changers and leaders. And so we may not be there yet, but it's a matter of time of when we are.
Yeah. If not when.
Yeah, exactly.
Or when, not if.
Exactly. Yeah. I understood the first one.
Thanks.
So I agree with you.
Cool.
On both. But no, but it is because I see these guys who've been doing it for so long and now they've brought so much stuff from outside industries into this that changed everything that we do and what we thought of. And that's just going to keep going as we start to grow and we start to have more time to focus, which is great. This is what I love.
Yeah.
Because now I have time to focus on this. But the thing is, people look at, February 7th to the 9th. Cool. I'm going to go to Myrtle Beach and hang out for a week. And it's like, dude, I didn't even want to be out there after that last class. I was like, I'm done. Pack up. Let's go. I'm ready to go home. Yeah. Like, let's implement this now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to dive into it. And that's what some people don't have. They're going to go to these courses and they're still not going to implement stuff. They're still going to say, that was really cool information. And then go home and literally run the same route that they've always ran. And never do anything different.
It's unfortunate.
It is, but that's the nature of human beings.
Yeah.
We're habitual creatures. We don't like change. A lot of people don't like change. Some people can embrace it and they love it.
Yeah.
And they just soak it up. Other people don't. They're very scared and terrified of that. And so, that's just what happens. But, at the end of the day, everyone who's listening, Wild Life Expo, great. Absolutely great. Totally worth it. And you don't have to pay for the classes.
Yeah.
You can go for free. They won't know. No. But you don't have to pay for those courses. You could go just to the expo.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, I did not talk about the expo. I'll hurry and hit that. It's going to take me 2 seconds. The expo was not pest control driven. So you did not have your B&G company, Gorilla company, all the software companies that literally flood pest world and are just freaking annoying. It's just they're getting too out of control. But this was literally equipment, products that you can use and you can buy, and how we're making your life easier in these situations. So it's really cool to see that. And the expo was different.
That's so great.
Very small.
Yeah.
But the products that they had, like I showed you, it's like, dude, it's going to make our life way easier.
So nice.
And we're going to be adding all this stuff onto houses. And actually what's cool is, when have you ever seen that on a house? I won't say what the product is so everyone can imagine. I have never seen that on a roof, ever.
No, when you described it, I could picture it, but I can't think of when I've actually seen one in person. No,
I've never seen one here in Sacramento.
Yeah,
ever.
Not yet,
dude. It's gonna be crazy because people are gonna start noticing that crap, and we're gonna have pictures, and their minds are gonna be blown.
Yep,
it's gonna be great. So I'm not gonna say what it is yet. You're gonna have to wait for the next episode.
Yeah, I gotta keep listening.
Yeah, I keep listening. But definitely message us on Instagram. We do have someone who's admin over it now. She is messaging everybody back, or sometimes I will get on there and actually message you back directly if it's pest related, to give you as much information. We are going to have some guests lined up, so get ready for that. But we will dive more in depth on the expo classes, so
nice.
Bird management and the rodent class and the metal work.
Perfect.
So we are going to have those 3 episodes coming up. So I definitely want you guys stay tuned for that, because it is literally going to change what you do out in the field.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. And it's going to make you a ton of money.
Yeah.
So that's never bad.
Never.
But thanks for listening to the DNA Pest Control podcast about Wild Life Expo 2023. Let's see where it is next year.
Let's do it.
Okay. See ya.